Hey there. Let's start blowing your mind with biology. I called the course Life, History, and Mystery. I'll explain in a moment. First, though, why biology? For two reasons. One, obviously, the epidemic. Everyone is fretting about viruses. What are they doing? What are they not doing? Vaccines. Biology is in the news. We will take a good long look at what viruses are, what they do, and what role they play in life. So biology is topical. Biology is also topical for another reason. We are living in the midst or through the sixth great extinction in the history of life on Earth. Meaning, as we speak, a species of plant or animal goes extinct every 20 minutes. By the time I'm finished with this presentation, and you've finished watching it, hopefully, there will be a plant or an animal lost forever on this planet. "10,000 years ago, humans were less than 1% of all the animal biomass on Earth. Less than 1%. Today, ladies and gentlemen, wild animals have shrunk to 1% of the total biomass. "67% of biomass are taken up by cattle, pigs and cows and sheep and whatever else we keep. And the rest of it, do the math, it's like 30-something%, are humans themselves. We have reduced wild animals to 1% of everything that lives on the surface of the globe. And this number is dropping rapidly. We're in the midst of a mass extinction brought about by human activity. We are the second biological organism in the history of the Earth that managed to brought about such a cataclysm. The last time it happened, it was like 2.5 billion years ago. We'll get to it. We have triggered a catastrophic collapse of the biosphere. Not all of it, but at least the top part of it, the one that is visible to us, the one that represents the pinnacle of evolution, namely the animals. And frankly, nothing can be more important than biology today, because within your lifetime, or perhaps the lifetime of your kids, there might be no more biology left to study. We talk about the climate change. Well, the climate change, Florida Keys will be washed away. Plants and animals go extinct every 20 minutes. That's the real deal. Climate change is part of it, but it's just a small part. So here's your first mind mine. We are in the midst of an unfolding disaster. Apocalypse is well and truly now. If you've seen the movie or not. But apocalypse is now. There is an apocalypse of animals and plants unfolding even as we speak. Biology is an imperative. If that is the only thing that you've taken out of it today, yeah, that would be enough. Okay. That's why biology. That's why we're starting with biology. Now, I called it Life, History, and Mystery. Not just because it rhymes, but because my approach will be chronological, historical. In your textbooks, those of you who have textbooks, if you're in North America, the poor disadvantaged lot, you might not have textbooks. But anyway, if you do, you will know that the normal biology course is structured something like that. The first chapter, a bit of ecology, and then you dive into some kind of an anonymous eukaryotic cell and you start studying it, and then somewhere towards the middle of the second half of the textbook, when you're already brain dead and exhausted, sometime after Christmas, you get to the history of life. Nobody pays any attention. And yeah, the whole thing just goes into evolution and end of story. The course tends to be, I taught it, tends to be tedious and full of details. I'm more interested, I'm interested in details, obviously, but I'm interested in the big questions. And to get to the big questions, you have to bring in the notion of development, the notion of time, and you have to space everything in time. It's like you're looking at something kind of head on, and then you turn it, and it turns out that the thing you're looking at is not actually a thing, it's a process. It is something that started somewhere far back and had developed to the point where you are watching it now, in the present moment. So the notion of history, the notion of chronological sequence development, to my mind, is fundamental. Everything becomes a process. Quite literally, everything becomes a process. And life is, of course, not a thing, it's a process. And therefore, I'm interested to trace with you life from from the origins, where it began, and then all the way to across to the point where we do have a eukaryotic cell. And by the time you reach eukaryotic cell, you're prepared. And you're prepared to recognize the changes, the momentous shifts that separate, let's say, the eukaryotic cell from the prokaryotic cell. And you uncover you uncover a mind mine. You don't just look, oh, well, these are eukaryotes, these are prokaryotes, this, you think, oh my goodness, what it took, the jump from the step up from the prokaryotic cell to the eukaryotic cell, that is amazing. That is mind-blowing. But that is also only possible with a historical approach. So that's number one. And number two is mystery. I am interested in those gaps. I'm interested in those wholesale shifts in the history of life on Earth, where you look at it and you just go, wow, I mean, how did that happen? That is astonishing. Biology is full of quote-unquote so-called black holes, namely those junctures where we simply don't know. And very often the textbook will give you sort of the impression that everything has been figured out. You know, this works like this works like that, blah, 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 blah. And everyone goes, okay, yeah, well, fine, okay. But the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much unknown. And the more we know, the sharper we can see what we don't know. And what we don't know is staggering. It's one of the most interesting, fascinating, captivating things ever. How did life manage to jump from A to B? It's mind-blowing. It's a mind mine. So I'm interested in seeing things in the historical perspective, in the chronological perspective, and as we're looking at things chronologically, we begin to find mysteries. The blank spots on the map where our knowledge is either non-existent or severely limited. And this is what inspires you to go out and become biologists. I've heard it several times from different kids. Why do we bother with biology, or for that matter, any sense? We got it all. We know it. We've read the textbook. It's been figured out. And that's why I wrote this course. To highlight what we don't know, the mysteries. And then the kids go, wow, yeah, I want to do it. And right enough, yeah, you want to do it. It's incredible. Yeah, history and mystery. Number one is simply because I have 2 PowerPoints to go through. And this is the first one. So, here we go, 15 minutes. Slide 1. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for slide 2. Bye-bye.